So you found a great flight deal on an airline like Norse, Frontier, or Spirit, but you're wondering, is it going to be safe? Is it going to be worth it? And am I just going to spend more in fees than I would make up for actually paying for another airline in the first place? I fly these airlines all the time, and I'm always advising people, if they want to save money, your flight is one of the biggest expenses, and it's one of the best ways to save money, because at the end of the day, unless you're paying for an elevated experience in business or first class, it's just a bus in the sky. That's how I see it anyway. I'm just getting from point A to point B, and the trip really begins when you touch down. So in this video, I'm going to explain what the differences are between these airlines and all of their luggage policies, and then I'm going to share some ways that you can save money and avoid baggage fees. Let's get into it. Okay, first let's talk about ways to avoid the fees. And the first way is by actually knowing the policies of these airlines and the allowances and dimensions they have for their bags. Thankfully, with Frontier and Spirit, which are two of the most budget carriers here in the United States, and also abroad, because there are plenty of trips abroad, in the Caribbean especially, that involve these airlines, they allow for one personal item no matter which ticket you book. Now, I know one personal item does not seem like a lot, especially when you see that most people include their purse, their laptop bag, or a very tiny backpack that goes under your seat as their personal item. But the truth is, if you pick the right one, you can actually pack a lot in there. And thankfully, the dimensions for both Frontier and Spirit are the same: 18 inches by 14 inches by 8. Now, again, this doesn't seem very big, but there are some really popular bags, like the Nomadic bag, as well as the Cabin Zero 28 liter, that you can put a lot of stuff in, and they go very well under the seat. With these airlines, they will often put your luggage in the sizer when you actually line up at the gate. And Norse, for example, will do the same. So one thing you should know about Norse, and I'll make a different video series about that, is they don't do any online check-in. Everybody has to check in at the gate, which means that everybody will have their luggage in the sizers. Frontier and Spirit, it's usually the same way as far as the measuring your bag. So many people try to sneak stuff in, but I'm just telling you, it is so much better for you to know the policy and get something that fits. For Norse Atlantic, the personal item is much smaller, 15.7 by 11.8 by 9. I will tell you, I had a small backpack. It was actually this one because I just got back from a 2-week trip where I used those airlines, and this worked as a personal item. It's a 15-inch backpack. It's by Travel On, which is another brand I love and highly recommend and use. However, it did not count as a personal item going over to the UK on Norse because it was so full of stuff that it was too wide. So I had to repack things into my carry-on bag, which was the cabin bag, I should say, not the personal item. So be really careful of that. It's not just about the size and the dimension of the actual bag itself. It's about how much stuff you have inside, because that will affect the dimensions when they put it in the sizer. Now, I should mention, just to clarify, that these airlines often do not include a cabin bag, typically in the lowest cost economy fares. And I predict this is going to become much more common. We see this often with European airlines like Wizz Air, Ryanair, Jet2, that it's becoming more normal to not include a carry-on cabin bag and to just include a small personal item. So if you know that you're going to need more things, like if you're going to have a tiny roller bag, even that, you're going to have to either pay for a carry-on or you're going to have to upgrade to a ticket. And it is always going to be the cheapest to add those items on when you are buying and booking your flight than later on in the process, and especially not at the airport. I have seen people pay up to $100 and sometimes even more if it's extra big and heavy at the Frontier check-in. Don't do it. If you know you need to have more items, book in advance if you can. North Atlantic tends to have lower baggage fees, but they do increase as departure gets closer. And I will say this because I tested it with a friend just recently. They actually charge a different amount for your carry-on or check bag based on the weight. So just be careful that when you're thinking about which items you want to take as your personal item, as your carry-on cabin bag, and as your checked bag in the luggage hold, you also want to be thinking about the weight of each item, not just the dimensions. I highly recommend weighing them with a hand scale. Number 3, now this is kind of a funny one that was made popular by Joey with Friends. There's this episode where he wears like 60 jackets and they dramatize and exaggerate this, but I literally do this, and it is wear your biggest, bulkiest, baggiest items on the plane. Now, I do this for more than one reason, because I find that the plane just tends to be super cold, which makes sense. You're up in the air, higher elevation. So I tend to wear layers anyway, just for my comfort. But if you have a parka, especially if you're traveling during winter, the items are just bigger and baggier. If you have a parka, if you have a puffy jacket, if you have multiple layers, wear them on the plane. And this is another little pro tip. I would wear a jacket and then I would actually put items in my jacket. So my headphones, my chargers, my USB port, things I knew that I would need need or want on the plane, and that I wasn't going to want to have to get into the overhead luggage or like try to go under my seat in the backpack, I would actually put them in my jacket pocket. So when I put my jacket into security and run it through with TSA, it's totally good to go. Same thing with your shoes. Shoes are always bulky and kind of annoying to put in your baggage anyway. If I know I'm going to be taking boots, my hiking boots, big shoes, I wear those on the plane, and then I have my smaller, lighter, more flexible shoes in my carry-on luggage. And if you don't have a jacket with pockets, by the way, the same thing goes with a vest. It's especially good to know if maybe you're not traveling during the winter, if you don't want to have heavy, warm layers on you. Number 4. Now this is one I have not personally used, but I've seen many other travelers do this, and I've heard from clients that it works. But if you've tried this, definitely let us know in the comments below how it went. I have also seen people at the gate on airlines like Frontier and Spirit getting called out on this, so I'm not sure if it works. Let us know. And that is using a pillowcase to store extra stuff inside. Many airlines will let you have a neck pillow or even a full-on pillow or blanket, and they'll let you carry those items on without having them stored away in your carry-on or personal item. And if that's the case, then you can actually put extra items in your pillow or even the neck pillow and just have them there for when you need them. A zippered hoodie can also be a makeshift extra bag if you absolutely need it. Now, all that said, I do tend to be a person that tries to follow the rules, the laws of the land as often as I can, and I'm not saying to try to game these airlines. However, I know that my clients and travelers and my fellow travel agents are spending hundreds to possibly thousands of dollars when they're traveling. So if I can help you save $200, $300 here and there, I'm happy to do that. Number 5, one way to avoid baggage fees is to just skip checking the bag and ship it instead. Now, I have done this once. I bought way too many books in Scotland, and I knew that if I was to put that into my bag for carry-on, I would have to check it. So I did an experiment. How much would it be if I were to actually ship this in the post? And it was kind of fun anyway to do. Like, I hadn't done that before mailing something, so I wanted to see what that process was like anyway. It ended up being about 50, 60 pounds to mail the book, so about $75 probably back then, versus $100-something to check the bag. So for me, that was definitely worth it, but that does take a little bit of planning in advance and kind of knowing which days during your trip are you going to do any shopping. If you are, if so, which items do you absolutely need to have in your check bag versus what you're going to ship home for you. Number 6, you can join loyalty programs or check your credit card reward perks. Frontier has this awesome membership. I want to say it's Go Wild. I should have looked it up, but I forgot to. So that is one you can look into. They do have discounts on fares if you join, but sometimes airlines will have discounts on actual baggage fees as well. Or you might even get a special or bonus allowance depending on your airline loyalty status or your credit card. So sometimes your credit card will have extra bonuses, and especially if your airline has a credit card, you can kind of get the best of both worlds there. My final thoughts on this are, I don't want you to think that you have to avoid flying a budget airline because you're going to pay more in fees. Is it possible you will? Yes. However, you can avoid these fees by planning a little bit ahead and by thinking of ways to also just take less. I often find that I don't wear or use a lot of what I take, and then I end up needing or wanting things that I didn't bring. So what I would actually recommend is pack a little bit lighter than you usually do, and then if you can, take a few $100 extra, not for fees, but for anything you might need to buy along the way. And then another pro tip as kind of a bonus, if you're traveling with somebody else and you absolutely do need to check a bag, maybe you guys go shopping and you want to take your stuff home, maybe you can get a check bag together and you can actually split the cost of it. That way you can just figure the items out when you get to your destination and you're not having to pay 100 something, maybe you pay 50 something. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. My name is Brittany. I've been working in the travel industry since 2017. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and hit like. That lets YouTube know to send me more of these videos and to let other travelers know so they can save more money. I also love to help travelers explore unique ways to save and even earn money on their trips. So if you're interested in working in the travel industry, becoming a travel agent yourself, or if you're an agent just watching this and you want to send this video to your clients, I hope any of that helps you. You can also connect with us on Instagram over at Travel Agent Haven. I'll be sure to put that up on the screen. Otherwise, if you have tried any of these tips or if you have additional tips to share to help others avoid paying baggage fees with budget airlines, definitely drop them in the comments below. Talk soon.